Hold on. Let's go, let's go. Charlie ripped a hole in reality. We're gonna check it out together. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Can y'all hear me? Why I don't have the volume? Can y'all hear me? Oh, hold on.
Safe place. Back to Nigerian princess. I issued a statement, a couple of statements actually, for. All right, you guys, so here's what's going on today. Turning Point USA has issued a statement, a couple of statements actually. For one, they say the reason that Mikey McCoy walked away so swiftly after Charlie got shot is because Charlie himself told Mikey to do that. Charlie somehow drilled into Mikey McCoy's mind exactly what he should do in that circumstance.
What?
Are you buying that?
Hell no.
Of that, I'd like to know, because if there are, I'd like to inform you. Didn't want to say it this way, but I am in fact a Nigerian princess. I am stranded currently on an island. I'm going to need you to send your credit card details right now so I can return home. And if you do, I will transfer you $1 million when I get back to my kingdom. Frank Turek is also being added into the mix.
Can y'all believe that? Is that how we gonna open? Is that how we opening, y'all? Oh, Candace, I know they didn't tell you that. You can't hear me? Can y'all hear me? Oh, poo, I hit the mute. Okay. Is that how they gonna start this out? Charlie said, if anybody take me out, go over there, leave me. Leave me.
All right, you guys, so here's what's going
on. Leave me and go walk over there. This is what Turning Point. And that they most definitely responded to the topic at hand by saying Charlie told him, he gave him instructions. I'm going in and out. Charlie gave him instructions to leave me. Don't nobody try to give me aid. Walk off swiftly with a phone to your ear. Go over there and call your daddy. Yeah, right.
Today, Turning Point USA has issued a statement, a couple of statements actually. For one, they say the reason that Mikey McCoy walked away so swiftly after Charlie got shot is because Charlie himself told Mikey to do that. Charlie somehow drilled into Mikey McCoy's mind exactly what he should do in that circumstance. Are you buying that?
No.
Any buyers of that? I'd like to know, because if there are, I'd like to inform you, ended currently on an island. I'm going to need you to send your credit card details right now so I can return
I don't know
funds.
how I'm
And if you
bouncing
do,
in and out.
I will transfer you $1 million when I get back to my kingdom.
It has to be on your end.
Frank Turek is also being added into the mix. He is
Tammy,
telling me plus other
Janice says
conspiracy
she can hear me.
theorists. Our book club has gone viral. My one safe place. I only had one safe space, and it was my book club. And the Zionists are now there, and they say I am going crazy. Welcome back.
They what?
Being added. Just did miss club has gone viral. My one safe place. I only had one safe space, and it was my book club. And the Zionists.
I don't know what to do. Y'all say I'm going in, and she's going in and out. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, I went out. Y'all said y'all couldn't hear, so I went all the way out to come all the way back in. Let's try this.
Zionists are now there, and they say, you guessed it, I am going crazy. Welcome back to Candace. He is telling me, plus other conspiracy theorists, to shut up unless we have the facts. Okay, Frank, challenge accepted. Let's learn some more facts today. Lastly, in case you missed it while I was away, they infiltrated our book club. Our book club has gone viral. My one safe place. I only had one safe space, and it was my book club. And the Zionists are now there, and they say, you guessed it, I am going crazy. Welcome back to Candace.
The devil said it.
Today is actually a really important episode. I want you to pay attention, very close attention to what I'm about to share with you. A lot of this is gut instinct. That's what we do here. And I think it will change the way you think about the world.
Can y'all hear her? Is she still going in and out? Or is it fixed? Okay. I like to watch when you show first come in. She's good. Okay, let's go.
I'm going to start by building upon what we discussed yesterday.
Please come
I
in,
had
hitting the like
mentioned to you
button.
all, honestly, that something was happening in April of 2018. A lot of things actually were happening in April of 2018.
Crystal, what's no, ma'am, auntie, it's not. Oh, it's not. Okay, okay.
But of course, hindsight is 2020. And I'm going to share some things with you. I don't know what everything means, but I know that it means something. Back when I did my initial tribute video to Charlie, some people took issues
Yeah, but songs
theologically.
sometimes y'all have to understand songs sometimes are copywritten, and I don't, I get donations and support, but no, I can't play the song for copyrights. Okay, not that I'm hating. It's a song.
When I said that the day that Kanye West tweeted, I love the way Candace Owens thinks, Charlie and I freaked out because we were convinced that we had somehow manifested that. I'm aware, I received tons of emails, this goes against Christian doctrine. This was 2018. I was not a Catholic, and I think it's important to discuss that and why we thought we manifested that.
Okay, let me go
Because
back.
it is
Let me hear that.
extremely out because we were convinced that we had somehow manifested that. I'm aware, I received tons of emails. This goes against Christian that something was happening in April of 2018. A lot of things actually were happening in April of 2018, but of course, hindsight is 2020. And I'm going to share some things with you. I don't know what everything means, but I know that it means something. Back when I did my initial tribute video to Charlie, some people took issues theologically when I said that the day that Kanye West tweeted, I love the way Candace Owens thinks, Charlie and I freaked out because we were convinced that we had somehow manifested that. I'm aware, I received tons of emails, this goes against Christian doctrine. This was 2018, I was not a Catholic, and I think it's important to discuss that and why we thought we manifested that, because it is extremely relevant to what took place thereafter. I have to explain that moment to you. As I showed you yesterday, Charlie was having a lot of vivid dreams. Dreams that he said he had throughout his entire life, that he was going to die in a really tragic, quick way. But especially in April, he was having vivid dreams that something big was about to happen. This is in the weeks leading up to the tweet.
Hey, Clarinetta.
Full stop. Charlie knew, and I felt that we were on the brink of something big. Okay, you have to remember, we were young. I'm a lot older than Charlie. Was Charlie 24 at the time? Maybe even 23 years old at the time? And we were doing Fox News Gambit, every show on Fox News. But I was really just focused on BLM, Black Lives Matter. I felt they were lying to Black Americans and it was going to harm us. Neither one of us was very well known at this time. We had just kind of gotten together the November before. And it is just a fact that we were listening to Kanye West music every day. I mean, literally every day, especially the song Power, okay? I was telling Charlie explicitly, we have to get to Kanye West. I can tell by his music, this is what I'm saying to Charlie, I know these lyrics inside and out. This person does not want to be a part of the system. If we can get to Kanye, I think he'll join my Blexit movement. I've got to wake up Black Americans to this scam, that they're using our race to control our emotions, which now to me seems so molecular because I see how much bigger the issue is. But I just knew that Kanye West was not a part of the simulation, so to speak.
Hey, Quinzation.
And that the song Power, as Kanye said, is a battle cry to be yourself because of the lyrics. And I have this old text that I'm going to show you from Charlie. This is April 13th, 2018.
Quinzation, did you hit the like button coming in?
The vibe of what was going on. I said, yo,
please.
Kanye West writing a philosophy book called Break the Simulation. We need him, Charlie. He is Blexit AF. And Charlie wrote back, I love Kanye. He's my soul brother. I will find a way to him. I promise we have to. It's crazy to look at that and realize that he's about.
Stop putting off your first podcast episode.
I'm just waking up.
Record it with Riverside and go for it.
Oh.
It's never been easier to start a podcast.
I'm looking at the. Sorry.
What's happening in April? Something's happening. And then on April 16th, Mike Cernovich, you might be familiar with him, he does this series of tweets, having not spoken to me or Charlie about how we were feeling, saying that he was speaking to a lot of his friends who could feel that there was some sort of an energy shift happening. So you imagine, we're like, what? There is something definitely happening here. How could Mike Cernovich randomly be tweeting this series of tweets?
Wait a minute.
It shocked me. And then on April 16th, Mike Cernovich, you might be familiar with him, this is what I said to him, just so you can kind of get the vibe of the population, which seems to me that there has been a military infiltration into the churches. The day that Kanye West tweeted, I love the way Candace Owens thinks, Charlie and I freaked out because and that the song Power, as Kanye said, is a battle cry to be yourself because of the lyrics. And I have this old text that I'm going to show you from Charlie. This is April 13th, 2018. This is what I said to him, just so you can kind of get the vibe of what was going on. I said, yo, Kanye West writing a philosophy book called Break the Simulation. We need him, Charlie. He is Blexit AF. And Charlie wrote back, I love Kanye. He's my soul brother. I will find a way to him. I promise we have to. It's crazy to look at that and realize that he's about to tweet me. So there was this incredible buildup, and we felt this palpable energy, a shifting almost that we kept discussing in all the messages. We're like, something's happening in April. Something's happening. And then on April 16th, Mike Cernovich, you might be familiar with him, he does this series of tweets, having not spoken to me or Charlie about how we were feeling, saying that he was speaking to a lot of his friends who could feel that there was some sort of an energy shift happening. So you imagine, we're like, what? There is something definitely happening here. How could Mike Cernovich randomly be tweeting this series of tweets? It shocked me. So I sent those tweets to Charlie. I'm going to show you that now. These are from Mike Cernovich. He has since deleted these tweets, but you can ask him. He wrote, a change in energy. This is Mike Cernovich. A change in energy which stuns high consciousness people does not mean bad. It simply means that it's cosmic. A paradigm is shifting. Something is happening, and that people get angry at me shows the shift. Why care? The energy manifests itself in different ways. He goes on to say several high consciousness people I've spoken to independently told me about feeling a shift in energy. Something is going on. It happened 2 to 3 weeks ago. I'm not talking politics or elections. It's much bigger. Energy shift. I saw this and I obviously screenshot it. I sent to the tweets to, or not screenshot, I just sent the tweets to Charlie. And I said, Charlie, what the F? I had a bad potty mouth in 2018. Going through these tweets, I realized that. I don't swear nearly as much or at all anymore. And then Charlie said, yup, we felt it too. Remember I told you, the dreams got darker. Again, I'm painting a picture here of what was going on. We're going to get deeper here.
The dreams
transpired.
Gets darker. Wow.
On the eve before Kanye West tweeted us, again, we are still in April. This is April 20th. The evening before Kanye West tweets me, Charlie messages me and he says, I'm on a run and I'm blasting Kanye West and we're on the brink of something big and like this is our time. Let me show you that tweet. Night before. I'm listening to Kanye and just running my streets. Are you ready for the war that's coming? We're going to fight. We're going to win. They will lose. I said, so exciting. It's our time. He said, yes. And then the next morning, as you can see, I woke up to news of the tweets and I said, please pick up because I was shaking. And then Charlie wrote back and said, I am freaking the F out. When I said to you guys, you had to be there, we were certain we had manifested. It was kind of freaky. That's the right word. We were freaking out, going, how is this real? How did we know? What is happening right now in the world? And yeah, Kanye sent this now infamous tweet. I love the way Candace Owens thinks. I want you to know this. Everything for Charlie and I changed in a blink of an eye in that moment. And retrospectively, it would never be the same again. It was indeed a paradigm shift. I mentioned to you guys yesterday that we both
I got some
watched
old
Scott Adams.
text messages.
I did not know who he was at this time. Again, I was very green, and I'm not an overtly political person, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I got some old text messages. I even have pictures that go back, screenshots, believe it or not, from when I first started screenshotting stuff from when I started with the Young Dolph. My phone can go back to 20. It can go back to when I got this phone. Well, I mean, I guess I would have to try to figure out why I still have them in my phone. I don't delete nothing. So, a lot of times when I'm having phone problems, it's because I have so many texts, emails, pictures. So when people send me stuff now, I be like, oh, please, like the family threads and stuff. I be like, oh, take me off of that. That's My sister be like, girl, get another phone. Delete it. No, ma'am. You just never know. So I can't say nothing about that one.
Retrospectively, it would never be the same again. It was indeed a paradigm shift. I mentioned to you guys yesterday that I remember that we both watched Scott Adams. I did not know who he was at this time. Again, I was very green, and I'm not an overtly political. It's the right word. We were freaking out, going, how is this real? How did we know? What is happening right now in the world? And yeah, Kanye sent this now infamous tweet. I love the way Candace Owens thinks. I want you to know this. Everything for Charlie and I changed in a blink of an eye in that moment. And retrospectively, it would never be the same again. It was indeed a paradigm shift. I mentioned to you guys yesterday that I remember that we both watched Scott Adams. I did not know who he was at this time. Again, I was very green, and I'm not an overtly political person, so I didn't know who Scott Adams was, but I remember vividly watching him. All right, you guys, so here's what's going on today.
Happened?
Turning Point USA has issued to you guys yesterday.
I don't know what was that?
that I remember that we both watched Scott Adams. I did not know who he was at this time. Again, I was
I
very
miss
green,
him.
and I'm not an overtly political person, so I didn't know who Scott Adams was, but I remember vividly watching him draw on a board and explain to his very many followers that something much bigger had taken place and that people needed to pay attention
All
to
them
his
family
tweets
group. Oh,
for
yeah.
almost cosmic reasons. Let's take a listen to what Scott Adams said on that day.
What did he tweet? He tweeted, "I like the way Candace Owens thinks." 7 words. And he ripped a hole in reality with 7 words. Because Kanye is supposed to be over here. And Candace is supposed to be over here. And they're not ever supposed to say the other one said something right. All right? That's not supposed to happen. But Kanye did it anyway. Kanye knows history doesn't repeat. He's not a prisoner of the mind. He knows that the problem is not the solution. Whatever you want to say about Kanye's politics, and I don't even know what his preferred politics would be. I'm not even sure what party he would run for it if he ran for president at this point. Whatever else you want to say about him, and I don't know enough about his actual, management skills or political ability, but he did something that you could rarely see. He actually just altered reality. He just made the entire conservative Twitter sphere just go something like this. It's like your head just went, what did I just see? Did I really see this? Now forget about, which of these views you like the best. That's not even the story. Forget about whether you think Candace has everything right or everything wrong. That's not the story. The story is that these two people that shouldn't be in the same conversation, in 7 words, Kanye just changed that. And he just freed a lot of people from a mental prison. Kanye, in 7 words, unlocked a mental prison and is bringing you to the golden age.
I look back on that and I find that clip to be really fascinating. And here's what I would tell you that happened thereafter in short order, because it was definitely something. I believe, and I'm saying this retrospectively, that from that moment onward, Charlie and I were assigned handlers. Okay, this is an expression that Kanye used to say, have a handler. I thought that he was just saying that. I thought that he was referring to just Hollywood. I now very much believe that I have had handlers since 2018. And that things were done intentionally to pull me and Charlie apart. Now I'm going to tell you how I remember it in no particular order, okay? I tweeted back at Kanye and I said, please take a meeting with us. And before I could hear directly from Kanye's people, I heard from David Horowitz of the Freedom Center. He's the one that first invited me when I was going viral on YouTube to speak at his conference. You should also know that he is the father to Andreessen Horowitz, the one that Bibi Netanyahu is insisting should, or stepfather to. He wants Andreessen Horowitz to be a part of this group that buys TikTok because, and this is relevant, they think it's important for warfare, psychological warfare in the future. It's relevant. He was very nice in his message to me, said, oh, my son knows Kanye, and I would like to facilitate that meeting. Suddenly they get Eric Weinstein involved, and he reaches out and he pretends that he wants to be a friend to me. He's a bad person, I can tell you that right away. And I learned that very quickly, but at the time, Charlie and I, we were pro-Israel. That's, I think, kind of relevant. And we were just so amazed by the tweet that we thought all of these people, like this was just our moment, as in they really did just want to help. Another player in this was Rick Rubin. Yeah, the big music industry, Rick Rubin, also got into the mix and wanted to facilitate certain meetings. I took it, again, as a sign of help. On the Turning Point USA side, Tyler Boyer, who I could do a whole episode on, it's actually, he's more so relevant that I can't fit him into just one episode. He was with the only person that was with Charlie before. He introduced him to every person that Charlie knows. He starts hiring a bunch of people, telling Charlie that we need to hire bigger and more professional money raisers, PR people like Andrew Cole, that you name it. And it feels like at every moment there were forces that were trying to tell us this is not allowed to happen. Kanye's handlers are telling him, Kanye's got a team of people telling him he's not allowed to be involved in politics. And he's getting angrier and he's getting angrier about that. This is in the time of Kim Kardashian and Kanye. She wanted nothing to do with it, okay? And I've been to their house, and political friends are telling Charlie and I, don't get involved with Kanye because he's crazy. You guys are on a trajectory. Don't speak to Kanye. It's going to backfire in your face. And I'm like, no, we dreamed this. We want him to be a part of Blexit. Like, this is exactly what we wanted. At the exact same time, I felt, and you have heard the story very many times, Charlie has told it, I have told it, out of nowhere, I got this spiritual pull that I needed to go to the UK. Charlie and I had no business in the UK at all. There was no reason for us to go to the UK. There was nothing happening in the UK. I have the messages. I'm like, Charlie, we should go to the UK. I don't know why. I'm getting the vibe. We need to go to the UK. We need to go to the UK. We need to go to the UK. Like, we got to go to London. And we did in the future. But first, dealing with this sort of pressure cooker that kept happening between Kanye, me, Charlie, it was in October, after Kanye had helped me to start designing the logo for Blexit, that Kanye's pressure cooker got too hot. And basically, they told him that he would lose everything, his marriage, this, that, if he didn't abstain from politics after he notoriously went to the White House in the MAGA hat. And he needed to distance from us and, of course, Blexit. And he cracked. I mean, you guys remember this headline. I'm taking you back to 2018. Kanye West distances himself from Blexit and Trump. He says, I've been used
it was
to
a
spread
cult.
messages. Kanye never wrote this statement, one of his handlers
Seven.
did, but he said, my eyes are now wide open and I now realize that I've been used to spread messages that I don't believe in. I am distancing myself from politics and completely focusing on being creative. Now, that was not the most honest interpretation of things, and I reflect on it, and I'm so grateful that I called Mike Cernovich and I said, like, why is Kanye doing this? Why is he saying this? I have pictures of him standing over the guy, directing him on what he thought was cool with the logo. Like, should I drop them? And Cernovich gave me really sound advice and said, don't. You have no idea what he's going through. And I'm grateful to Cernovich for that, because I now know what Kanye was going through and what that pressure is like, and when they come for your family and come for everything. And it's like, all you have to do is disavow this or disavow that, and everything will go back to normal. So, yeah, Kanye, I totally understand it. It makes perfect sense to me why you had to say that. Anyways, I think I was saved. I look back and I think I was saved by this weird pull that I had to go to the UK. It was, now I realize, an unexpected anomaly. My husband, how I met him, this unplanned trip on nobody's calendar. Nobody was setting it up. I just like, Charlie, get a meeting with whoever, make anything happen. I need to be in the UK. I just think that like something good will happen if we go to the UK. And it's kind of beautiful that the person that Charlie reached out to and said, can you put together just any place for Candace and I to speak at, was John in a...
Yes, you are, Prime Minister Chris. I tried to give you a break, but now I don't even want you on in here anymore. So bye. Yeah, I don't like your energy anymore.
Mappin, the lone donors who wrote that beautiful letter that has impacted the world.
Now
Like
watch
true
him
friends of
come
Charlie,
back
who
under
stood up
another
and said that what
page.
Turning Point USA
And
is
that's
doing
how
is
I
wrong.
know who he is.
So yeah, we had an event, and obviously I first laid eyes on my husband, and I have told you guys the truth. I looked at him, and everyone's like, why'd you get engaged after 18 days? I have never, it's inexplicable. I looked at him, and I felt like I had already known him, and it felt exactly
Now, I
like seeing a
missed
sigh
it.
of relief.
Fooling with that
Like it felt like a sigh of relief.
Prime
I was
guy.
like this. Anyways, I think I was saved. I look back and I think I was saved by this weird pull that I had to go to the UK. It was, now I realize, an unexpected anomaly. My husband, how I met him, this unplanned trip on nobody's calendar. Nobody was setting it up.
Yeah, and it was probably her husband who pulled her away from that cult. It was probably her husband. Because now she is into her Christianity. See how God works?
Just like, Charlie, get a meeting with whoever, make anything happen. I need to be in the UK. I just think that like something good will happen if we go to the UK. And it's kind of beautiful that the person that Charlie reached out to and said, can you put together just any place for Candace and I to speak at, was John and Arena Mappin, the lone donors who wrote that beautiful letter that has impacted the world, like true friends of Charlie, who stood up and said that what Turning Point USA is doing is wrong. So yeah, we had an event, and obviously I first laid eyes on my husband.
So he
and I
said
had
what
told
Turning Point is doing is wrong? Hold up. Hold on.
that I had to go to the UK. It was, now I realize, an unexpected anomaly. My husband, how I met him, this unplanned trip on nobody's calendar, nobody was setting it up. I just like, Charlie, get a meeting with whoever, make anything
Hey,
happen.
Cynthia.
I need to be in the UK. I just think that like something good will happen if we go to the UK. And it's kind of beautiful that the person that Charlie reached out to and said, can you put together just any place for Candace and I to speak at, was John and Arena Mappin, the lone donors who wrote that beautiful letter that has impacted the world, like true friends of Charlie, who stood up and said that what Turning Point USA is doing is wrong. So yeah, we had an event, and obviously I first laid eyes on my husband, and I have told you guys the truth. I looked at him, and everyone's like, why'd you get engaged after 18 days? I have never, it's inexplicable. I looked at him, and I felt like I had already known him, and it felt exactly like seeing a sigh of relief. Like, it felt like a sigh of relief. I was like, I need to go with him. 2 months later, and with that event in London far behind us, that
Absolutely
was in
used
December,
her.
that I met my husband, that I convinced Charlie, took his credit card and booked the flights. John
No,
and Arena made the event happen.
no, I don't
2
think it
months
was
later in
about
February,
not getting a role in
something
his
really
administration.
strange happened. Someone, and I believe it was someone at BuzzFeed, cut a clip of a video from the Q&A portion of that UK event. This is, again, over 2 months.
I don't think that it was about getting a role in his administration. I would have to really hear her say that. She worked hard for him, but she was working with, she knew Charlie first, though. They was all, oh yeah, okay, well, no, we don't look at stuff the same. No. Yeah, no.
I looked at him, and I felt like I had already known him, and it felt
No.
exactly like seeing a sigh of relief. Like,
But I'm glad to know how you think.
Like, I need to go with him.
So I can understand your sarcasm and your hate for other people, other females. You know, I don't look at stuff like every time somebody it's a come up. So that let me know your whole mentality, your whole makeup for you to even say something like that. So thank you. I know how to look at you now. Go ahead. I was giving you the benefit of the doubt, but you got that mentality. Yeah, no. A come up. Oh, hell no. I know who you are now.
Months later, and with that event in doing is wrong. So yeah.
That don't mean nothing. There's people who have been married. Never mind. Some people have sex and get pregnant within 18 days. Less than 18 days. Are we going to go there for real? At least she got married. She didn't lay around, fuck around, and have a whole bunch of fucking kids. Are we going to do that? Yeah, she wasn't a hoe about it. She found a man that loved her and put a ring on it. It's a whole bunch of people out there that don't have shit. Are we gonna do that? We ain't gonna hate on her like that. Yeah, you sound like somebody who don't believe in God. Yeah. Please don't make me check you. Whole bunch of hoes out there. Don't get a goddamn thing but babies. With a whole bunch of different daddies. Yeah, she was smart about it. How about that? He got to come up. He got a black queen. Yeah, he got a black one. Yeah, and she didn't have to push out a whole bunch of nothing to get a ring on her finger. Yeah. So go on with that stupid shit. I always got to downplay a sister cause somebody saw something in her when somebody don't see nothing in a lot of females, but sex. Are we gonna go there for real? Ugh.
That I had to go to the UK. It was, now I realize, an unexpected anomaly. My husband.
Shout out to you, Candace, for getting a husband, getting married, then having a family, doing it in order. Yeah. And then you ran into the man who God had for you, and it was your husband, that whole scenario that God allowed you to see the devil in the games, and you left. So shout out to you for being woman enough to wait until a man put a ring on your finger. Yeah, that was a blessing. Let's go. You're not finna downplay her for doing it the right way.
How I met him. This unplanned trip on nobody's calendar. Nobody was setting it up. I just like, Charlie, get a meeting with whoever, make anything happen. I need to be in the UK. I just think that like something good will happen if we go to the UK. And it's kind of beautiful that the person that Charlie reached out to and said, can you put together just any place for Candace and I to speak at, was John and Arena Mappin, the lone donors who wrote that beautiful letter that has impacted the world, like true friends of Charlie, who stood up and said that what Turning Point USA is doing is wrong. So yeah, we had an event, and obviously I first laid eyes on my husband, and I have told you guys the truth. I looked at him, and everyone's like, why'd you get engaged after 18 days? I have never, it's inexplicable. I looked at him, and I felt like I had already known
tell him his skin color don't wash off either. Ryan,
like a sigh of relief.
her husband's skin color don't wash off either. Yours don't either. But guess what, Ryan? You came from us. We didn't come from you. Huh? You just didn't get enough melanin in your skin tone. But you came from us. We didn't come from you. How about that? Go run tell that. Yeah, go run tell that. You came from us. We are the chosen. Y'all the fakies. Y'all have to steal and hide the truth in order to be relevant. We are the truth. You came from us. We didn't come from you.
Like, this is, I need to go with him. 2 months later, and with that event in London far behind us, so that was in December that I met my husband.
The hate is real, ain't it?
Charlie took his credit card and booked the flights. John and Arena made the event happen. 2 months later in February, something really strange happened. Someone, and I believe it was someone at BuzzFeed, cut a clip of a video from the Q&A portion of that UK event. This is, again, over 2 months later. And they stripped the question that was asked of me. You'll remember the scandal. What I'm about to tell you about this is crazy. Again, I was green, so I didn't understand why suddenly they were sharing a clip and they were saying that I was justifying Hitler, Adolf Hitler, killing Jews. A person asked me, Candace, you describe yourself as a nationalist. That is sometimes a dirty term because people don't like the words nationalism. And I answered by saying, well, that's because they wrongly attributed to Adolf Hitler and he wasn't a nationalist. I didn't even mention Jews at all. I'm going to actually show you what I said, and I was standing next to Charlie when I said it, which is relevant. Take a listen. Yeah, I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist. But if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist. But if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he wanted
Well, if we're cool, what is your mama? If we're cool, when you talk about us, you talk about yourself because you came from us, Ryan. Let me say it again. When you talk about us, you talk about yourself. When you talk about us, you talk about yourself because your lineage came from us. Yeah. You came from us. We didn't come from you. So when you quick at the mouth and you say that smart, sarcastic, trying to hurt our feelings, everything you say about us, you're saying about yourself. Because we are the originals. You are subpar. Okay? Let's be clear.
He had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German, everybody to look a different way. That's not, to me, that's not nationalism. In thinking about how it could go bad down the line, I don't really
They
I don't
can't
really have an
handle the
issue with
truth.
nationalism. I really don't. I think that it's okay. It's important to retain your country's identity and to make sure that what's happening here, which I think is incredibly worrisome in terms of the decrease in the birth rate that we're seeing in the UK,
Hi,
is what you kind
Gina.
of want to avoid. So I don't have anything problem. I have no problems with nationalism. It's globalism that I try to avoid.
I'm Sarah, and I'm an attorney here at
Baby, these
ADOLPH. It's
racists
no
is
secret that getting
these
approved for
racists
disability
are funny.
benefits can be extremely difficult.
They
But
can't
why?
handle it, can they?
Now I know that these online campaigns are inorganic and that what actually happened was this was a hit. This was a hit. They pulled the clip, and then a bunch of people wrote articles saying that I supported Adolf Hitler, and that I said if
Thank
Hitler
you,
had just
Janet.
wanted to make Germany great again, then okay, fine, that's fine. No context again. And it was like a severe
Yes, they
cancel
are,
culture attack
Keisha.
saying that I supported Jews being killed in the Holocaust. It was insane.
Yeah, they just make
Again,
up their
Charlie
own
and I were
story.
very new, and this was very scary. We were kind of coming upon a high point and going, why do people want to destroy us? We don't know what this is. And at the same time, the Simon Wiesenthal Center, and this is, again, another interesting piece of this, issued a statement against my comments. Simon Wiesenthal Center, we're like the official Holocaust people, and this girl is obviously supporting Hitler. It was heavy. It was it was so heavy, and I laugh in retrospect because I thought it was all real. I didn't realize this was a matrix of people who wanted to pull me and Charlie apart. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to put pressure on him, so donors would pressure him and be like, hey, she's supporting Hitler. It's such a bad look. And then they would find me broken and scared and upset and going, I don't know how Jewish people could think that I would support Hitler. And that's what I was saying. And this amazing thing happened that despite this, that the hand that came out to me and offered me a job was PragerU. PragerU offered me a job. This is early 2019. And it was like, hey, like, we know that you don't believe these things. And at the time, I thought they were just being friends. I don't know what to think anymore. Marissa Straight, the CEO, has never shied from telling people that she is, in the IDF. She worked intelligence in the IDF, right, in Israel. And I took the job with them, and Charlie and I still climbed together, but we were also working apart at the same time. We kept doing the campuses and the campus tours, but I was officially working for PragerU. And one of the first things that happened, almost the way it feels to me, was like, we can save you, but here's what you have to do, was Marissa took me to the Simon Wiesenthal Center. And again, I was so grateful. I was like, who do I have to say sorry to so that they know that I don't hate Jews? This is what happened. I'm telling you, this is what happened in 2019. And there was like some chief rabbi looking character, and him and her spoke in Hebrew. I didn't understand a word of what was said in front of me. And then we left, and everything was fine. My reputation was restored temporarily. Throughout that time frame thereafter, I'm doing my show. I think my first episode with PragerU was in March. Charlie's still climbing. Turning Point USA, as you know, became a behemoth. I remember speaking at their conferences and saying that they were now running like a military operation. It was so efficient, on time, it was tactical. And I did not realize at that time how prescient that thought would become. because as you guys know, in my old age, I have grown increasingly interested in genealogy, because you really start to recognize certain patterns when you look into who people's fathers are, who their grandfathers were, who their great-grandfathers were. And the one thing that has shocked me about Charlie and Turning Point USA is just how many military characters were surrounding him. Even in September 10th, people that were in the hospital, right? Let's just, take a look at the chart that we have put together. And this is in an early phase, but it's interesting at the very least, okay? We've got Frank Turek. And Frank Turek, if we want to go through this, we got Andrew Colvett, Rob McCoy, Mikey McCoy, Tyler Boyer. Let's start with Frank Turek, if we have that card. And Frank Turek, again, has been honest, former officer in the U.S. Navy. And then he turned to Christian apologetics. He has 2 sons that are in the military, fly planes, as well as one of his son's spouses that's in the military. Again, he's never lied about this. Andrew Colvett, by the way, if you don't know, I didn't know. I don't think Charlie knew, certainly not when Tyler brought him or when he got hired. His brother, Captain Kurt Colvett, is in the military. His cousin, Captain Robert Colvett, is high up in the military. So that's interesting. Very interesting to me, at least, because I just am like, oh, that's kind of something I was not aware of. I thought he was just a PR guy, someone that was working PR and was found and things went forward. Obviously, Rob McCoy, a pastor with a very strong military background. Pastor Rob McCoy, his father was a naval captain, Roy Edgar McCoy. But also, and this is kind of shocking, his father was also the assistant chief of staff for psychological warfare in the Navy. Psychological warfare. This is the name of the game. And that trajectory is increasingly interesting to me. I think we have this clip from an investigative journalist named George Webb, who speaks a little bit further about Rob, and obviously this is Mikey McCoy's family. Take a listen.
McCoy does have this strange military background. He does have this strange, seemingly putting his son in there and guiding the hand for this new apostolic revival. That he is a NAR person. He is kind of the NAR push for Charlie. Charlie was meeting with NAR. NAR were the $25 million and above donors from the Christian right. The Ziklag was the name of the organization. So all that's correct. That's correct information. And
stop what you're doing. I think this commercial will change your life. The number one investment that you can make is in your smile. As I get it, everywhere you go, people judge your smile. Look at this person, and this person, and this person. If you don't know.
What happened in my life after that was I went from
military background. He does have this strange, seemingly putting his son in there and guiding the hand for this new apostolic revival. That he is a NAR person. He is kind of the NAR push for Charlie. Charlie was meeting with NAR. NAR were the $25 million and above donors from the Christian right. The Ziklag was the name of the organization. So all that's correct. That's correct information. And
what happened in my life after that was I went from PragerU, and you got a pastor, from the military, 2 pastors from the military there. I'm telling you, Marissa, straight military. I then went to, obviously, the Daily Wire, and the president at the time of the Daily Wire was also a naval intelligence officer who decided to become a pastor. That was John Lewis. And I'm like, actually, in retrospect, what are the chances that we just have so many military people that are in media? How organic is this? Who's the biggest person on YouTube? Right? I just got interested. I started asking questions like, are we in a military simulation? Mr. Beast. Both of his parents high up in the military. Do you think he really was just getting trillions and gazillions of views because people wanted to see somebody count to 1 million? Or is that interesting? But also, it might be relevant that his family's military, like high up in the military. Everywhere I looked, every time I was like, well, this person, I got interested even in Lila Rose, right? Catholic does this whole, speaks about, and she's always been very lovely to me, speaks about the pro-life movement and converted to Catholicism and got a story there. I met her through Marissa, it's kind of the same people funding both. And it was kind of interesting, like when I would see Lila kind of jump on the attacking the Christ is King or trying to rationalize why we shouldn't say Christ is King all the time. And she was like the lone Catholic that was doing that. And I then got super interested in her when she messaged me about Andrew Tate. And she had someone on her show that was Andrew Tate's, one of the accuser's lawyers. And I was like, this has nothing to do with the pro-life movement. What are you doing? I asked her. And she's like, well, and that woman then attacked me and Tucker Carlson. I said, that's weird. Like, that's kind of random. You're supposed to be the pro-life person. And you're talking about, and you're talking to Andrew Colvet's, the party to that lawsuit. You're talking to her lawyer. Why? On your show? Why are you the first show she would pick? Why doesn't she go on like CNN or Fox News? And I looked, and of course, yeah, you got military all over that background. And I'm going, is anything not military? I'm looking at Barry Weiss, and I'm looking into her grandfather, and there's a story that's just incredible. A bomb thrown on at his house, and I think it's in Philly or somewhere, maybe it's Pittsburgh, and that's related to the casinos. I mean, the whole thing starts getting really crazy when you realize everyone's somehow attached to Raytheon, right? Mr. Beast, they're all attached to Raytheon in one way or the other. And I find that to be interesting. And there's more, by the way. I'm in the early days of research here, and there's a lot more I'm going to present to you guys. But I think we can all acknowledge that we were lied to about the 30-06, right? I know for a fact Charlie's neck was not destroyed. Certainly was not destroyed. And if I'm lying, sue me for defamation, and you'll learn exactly how I know that. This is what makes Andrew Colvet's tweet explaining the conversation with the surgeon especially interesting. You remember, he's like, oh, and the surgeon said, well, I would have taken down a moose, and but Charlie's neck, he's the man of steel. And people rightly said that's not the job of the surgeon. That's kind of the job of forensics to say that. The medical examiner would be the right person to say that. By the way, who was the medical examiner? Who were the doctors? And any chance they were military? Any chance they were military? I'm just wondering. And here's what I discovered preliminarily. The answer is yes, okay? The doctor who worked on Charlie was Dr. Lee Trotter. And regarding Dr. Lee
one
Trotter,
that just came
he did
in,
his residency on the Air Force Base, right? He completed a residency at the Keesler Air Force Medical Center in Mississippi. I think he actually...
Mississippi, where them monkeys cut loose. Wasn't he just hired there? This doctor, he just came out of nowhere.
Regarding Dr. Lee Trotter, he did his residency on the Air Force Base, right? He completed a residency at the Keesler Air Force Medical Center in Mississippi. I think he actually might be in the Air Force from what I'm looking at. Can't confirm that entirely, but there's a person who matches his name, age, description, living where he's living, who is actually in the Air Force. And he also, for a fact, is a pilot, so it would track that he was in the military. That's interesting. The medical examiner, Dr. Deidre Smith-Amaro, who that would be the appropriate person to have had the conversation with, also someone that, in my dream, Charlie told me I should look into. She's a major in the Army.
Oh, wow.
She's also from a major corporation. She's from the Erickson family. The Erickson Boyd Corporation is her family. She tells people that she is a direct descendant of Leif Erikson. This brings us into like Swedish Freemason stuff, okay? And I'm sure, like I'm certain she's an Erickson. Like 1,000% certain that she is an Erickson. She's also now a lesbian. And I'm thinking, why was she just made a major in the Army? Why did they need this woman in? Why were people researching these doctors and this specific medical examiner? What the heck is going on? There's more. There's a lot more that I haven't covered, but I'm painting a picture here for you. Okay.
I'm
think the
seeing the picture.
military-industrial complex that Eisenhower forewarned of, military-industrial complex that shot JFK to maintain power, has created a veneer of reality for us, and it is not so, right? We are under a veil. I think that these corporations, people that are put at the head of these corporations and we're told that they're geniuses, or they're just so successful, like Mr. Beast, these are military operations, is what I'm signaling to you guys. So
CIA, the helicopter, the big old helicopter, military helicopter. I believe it. The guy on top of the roof in all black. I believe it.
be aware of that. I think this military-industrial complex has had a lot of actors. We have military-grade actors, some of which I think were there when Charlie got shot. Weird.
I showed y'all that picture last night.
The first people to get booked. It was hard to find a student that spoke to a mainstream media news organization on that day. Something's not right. There are too many military players that were surrounding Charlie, and they weren't there before 2018. They weren't there until forces were trying to pull me and Charlie apart. I had it on my heart to share this with you because I think it will help you when you start to look at things and assess people and they tell you he's a genius, then you learn that they have, I don't know, a contract with the Department of Defense. He might just be a military-grade actor meant to lead a company, because if we all looked up and realized the military owns everything and maybe has owned everything and controlled everything since they shot JFK, well, that wouldn't be a good thing for us to know, right? And we don't know it. We don't know it.
But we know.
But I kind of know. Lastly, there's something interesting that I was kind of hesitant to speak about, but I'm going to. I was hesitant to speak about it because I didn't want it to lead to 1,000 conspiracy theories that are just wrong. But I'm interested, and I again want to caution you: don't spin out of control. I'm actually want some information because there could be something that I'm missing. I am not from the medical field, okay? But on September 10th, thereafter,
It's
as
about
of
to
these
get
episodes,
spooky.
we had received a flurry of tips from people telling us that Charlie was not at Timpanogos Hospital, but was at UVU Hospital. And I was like, remember there was this whole thing, why did they go to Timpanogos? Timpanogos was a level 3 trauma center when the closer one was UVU. We never really understood why the ambulance wasn't there when it was required by law. He goes into this car. We don't really know
Why his friends were of no
we have
age.
no footage or any indication of the drive or the arrival at Timpanogos.
Everybody
And I
worked
thought it
for
was
the
weird that
Department
you
of
had people that were
Defense,
saying, I was
CIA.
downstairs at UVU when Charlie was brought in, and I am telling you, he was definitely at this hospital. Somebody else said to me I was receiving treatment. I don't know if it was cancer treatment downstairs or upstairs, and we knew he was at this hospital, and then somebody came in and announced that Charlie had just died upstairs. It was very strange, and I was like, okay, that's just, people get confused. They may have heard from, maybe a nurse texted a nurse. There's a lot of ways it could have happened.
Hey,
But then we received an
Hey,
email
Vicky.
from somebody in the medical staff at UVU saying, I'm certain that he was here, and I have a medical file that we, and the text that we
medical
received
file?
at 2:08 p.m. saying that we're not allowed to touch the medical file. And
Spec
here was
is
the entry
already spooky.
in the
Oh,
UVU
wow.
system for Charlie Kirk. It had his right birthday, it had his age, it had an MRN number, and then this individual shared the internal message that went out telling them that they're not allowed to touch the file. Here it is. Hi all, there was a media event that took place today that led to a trauma patient. Due to the nature of the situation, the only individuals who will be allowed in the chart will be Deborah and myself. No one else is allowed to hover or open the chart. Jacob, blank. Deb and I will be doing the log tomorrow. Thanks, and let me know if you have any questions. Now,
Wow.
in my mind, I said maybe the reason for this is these two medical hospitals speak to each other, like if you go to CVS and you pick up a prescription at one location, the other location knows that it happens.
Well, if it's that
I've
confident,
confirmed that doesn't seem to be the circumstance. It's possible that it could be because maybe Dr. Lee Trotter, which I have heard, works at both limited surgeons going back and forth. That's somehow it created a file. But I'd like to know definitively what the answer for that is, why he also has a file at UVU, why there seemed to be so much confusion. Again, we don't need to go crazy with conspiracy theories. There could be a logical answer. I have not stumbled upon it yet. And so, medical community, feel free to email us at moretips@candaceowens.com. Okay, we're going to take a brief break before we get into Turning Point USA's response to Mikey McCoy's actions. All right, you guys, jumping in to tell you about one of my... We're just 30 seconds away.
2.5 miles. It's not very long. Only slightly longer than the national...
From being debt-free, get your free assessment, and find the best option. Mikey McCoy... Actually, it wasn't really a response. Mikey McCoy... Actually, it wasn't really a response because Utah Valley Hospital is where that file was, and that Utah Valley, for correcting me, now we're just 30 seconds away from being debt-free. Get your free assessment and find the best option for you right now at pdsdebt.com/Candace. Again, that's pdsdebt.com/Candace. pdsdebt.com/Candace. Okay, I just want to correct. Thank you guys in the chat for correcting me. I think I said UVU Medical. I meant to say Utah Valley Hospital. UVU is obviously on my mind because it is the university. It is
Y'all, I need 60 likes real quick. Real quick. Real quick. Double tap the face of your screen. On your phone. Or hit the thumbs up or the 3 dots at the top. I need them really, really quick. I'm an hour in. Double tap. Let me check and see what else is going on while y'all deciding if y'all gonna hit the like button or not. The quicker y'all hit it, the quicker we can move on.
Current newly elected membership of Congress, there should be the 218 votes to there are now enough elected votes in Congress to release the Epstein files. And basically, when the shutdown is over, under the current newly elected
Come on, hit the like button.
Congress, there should be the 218 votes to override the Republican opposition and actually release new Epstein files. So that is a big headline. I'm going to get into that in this breakdown. I'm already
We've been on that.
Anchor, chief legal correspondent. I'm also going to talk about, in this breakdown, this hat
Trump 2028
sent me and speaks to one of the big problems we have in America, where you have politicians openly talking about trying to end democracy as we know it. So I'm going to get to that in this breakdown. But we begin with the Epstein files, and we actually are at a turning point, which, but for the government shutdown, would mean that we have now the votes in Congress to see the rest of what DOJ under Donald Trump is hiding about Epstein. That's a major development. There are basically very few ways in Congress to get something for a floor vote without having leadership wanting it. That's just how the congressional rules have
I thought old boy got sued.
modern era. And so the Republicans under Speaker Johnson have gone along with Donald
Y'all
Trump
double tap. People coming in but not hitting the like button.
Material from the case,
Double tap the face of your screen.
meaningful and important for the public to know, or even raise questions about how he died, what other avenues and leads were not pursued.
He in Israel.
That's usually where these things stop, and the Republicans, backed by Johnson, have tried to stop things there. But there are now 218 elected votes to release the Epstein files. What does that mean? It means that there's a discharge petition, there's a lot of congressional language about it, and basically, because of this new special election, there has been a new member of Congress elected that's going to join, it would be that last final vote that they were waiting on because they had to a 17. Mike Johnson is trying to buy time and is refusing to seat that person, Congressperson-elect Calvin. There are now lawsuits on that. I'll say just briefly because that's a new kind of development. The precedent is not very good to get the courts to interfere and sort of fast-track seating that new member of Congress. Johnson is not seating her and says that when the government reopens, he will do so. That's a lot slower than he seated other members who were newly elected in special elections in Republican districts, basically, with the Republican one. But it's not necessarily automatically unconstitutional. And the courts, I can just tell you, generally don't like to jump in and get involved. They have off-ramps to avoid it, political questions doctrine. You have to go all the way back to Adam Clayton Powell, the Harlem congressman, who did win an election, and the Congress was trying not to seat him, and the Supreme Court basically intervened. But it's rare. What does that mean for the Epstein case? It means that you may not get any action on this till the government reopens. If Congress is not forced by the courts to do something, then on and on the shutdown goes.
Come on, Wolf.
I want to touch on what the Epstein files could actually yield, and then turn in this breakdown to the talk of Trump 2028, which is blatantly unconstitutional, illegal, tantamount, similar to a coup.
Yeah, but if there's a war, and that's what he's trying to do.
But on the files themselves, all we know is that the Justice Department under Trump.
Y'all disappointing me with this like button.
Claimed by both Donald Trump as a candidate and the people he put in charge at DOJ and FBI that they would quickly release these Epstein files, and they haven't. So what's actually in them is itself obviously unknown. This could be, and I want to be clear, a case where everyone's excited to get them, and if you actually got the files, it might not be anything all that substantive or interesting. But where you think you're going? You ain't no NBA tunnel DraftKings picks.
Oh yeah, there's something in there.
Season long. Man, I would forever hot. One reason that is not currently the best guess, and that's all it is, really is guess, is that if there was some easy transfer pile of files that didn't have anything really hot in it, and there's been this much pressure and Trump had campaigned on releasing it and Bondi had reviewed it, well, then it might be in your interest, legally, politically, and otherwise, to just release it, maybe with some protections, and then you could say you have. So the reason, which is speculative, that many people, legal experts, people who follow this case, even putting aside.
Hi, Eddie. Please hit the like button coming in.
Because today, they're acting like there's something in it because they're going so far and taking heat and risk to hide it. And B, there's been reporting in the Wall Street Journal elsewhere that there's already some things that are interesting, like Donald Trump's name recurring, which doesn't mean legally that he's accused of wrongdoing or did anything wrong pursuant to this case, but it does mean that the Journal has sources, they say, standing by their reporting, that implicates him in it in some way. We don't know whether that actually is based on his...
Do y'all know he was trying to get the Supreme Court? He appealed them 34 convictions. And then he lost.
There's also these big questions about blackmail. Trump's own cabinet official, Lutnick, kind of got everyone all excited and outraged again when he said that Epstein was clearly blackmailing people. Well, if he is at all correct, and he knew Epstein personally and is in the Trump cabinet and has more sources than a lot of people, if he's at all correct, that raises the question of why the DOJ, under both parties, by the way, because there was time to look into this, both in the original
Trump was probably blackmailing too.
DOJ period after Trump left office.
That's why Diddy hadn't got no pardon yet.
But then again, recently, why hasn't any DOJ pursued those claims and those potential cases? Blackmail is referenced in the Pam Bondi, a very controversial, very kind of thin two-page memo that says there was nothing to see here, no cases. But these files, if they name, for example, people who paid Epstein a lot of money, sometimes in very suspicious circumstances, then did they look into a blackmail case there? Did they look into whether people were victims of
Melania in there too?
Or were participants perhaps in an alleged conspiracy? Sometimes if you're being blackmailed,
she was gnawing on Epstein before she was gnawing on
Trump. It could be a crime allegedly that's being used to blackmail the person. So these files, if they even make vague or possible references to that action, that type of activity, that action, that's something that the DOJ would be pressed on whether they should have investigated or should now. And then Epstein's death conditions. This is something that maintains a lot of interest to people because there were so many suspicious details. I've reported on some of this, as have many others. In Miami
How's he
Herald,
still alive in
has done a lot
Israel?
of reporting on Epstein, both in the early period and then after his suspicious death under the Barr Justice Department in the Trump first term. But among other things, that was investigated by the Inspector General, that's sort of the watchdog of the DOJ, which found that Epstein had reviewed his last will and testament and signed it in front of his lawyers right in the period before the period that he was found dead in his cell. That he made an unauthorized phone call. That people involved in the oversight of his cell, specifically in the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons, in that era,
I need 30 likes.
had lacked candor. That's sort of the legal term, but ultimately basically had lied to investigators, which raises the question of why. Were they just covering up that they let someone die in custody if it was a suicide, which in that case is bad, or were they covering up something else? So the Justice Department's Inspector General did that investigation and even found those negative things. It is an open question whether you really got access to the full files, whether there would be other details, questions, or things that are somehow suspicious about the circumstances of Epstein's death. So we just don't know. And again, I say that not as a cop-out. I say that to be very clear, because some people like to maybe lean into what you don't know or use it to stoke interest. I'm not at all interested in trying to do that, but to say that from a legal, investigative, and journalistic view, those are the types of questions you have going in the files. All right, I want to turn here to the next thing in this breakdown. I'm doing these legal breakdowns. You can always subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ari Melber, like and subscribe and keep up with me. But this is a note I received from Steve Bannon, which says very simply, my name, Trump 2028, and is signed. This came with this hat. And I mentioned this now. He sent this a few weeks back, and I didn't mention it in our coverage, and I don't think we should always over-respond to these types of things or trolling. But now that the president is again discussing an illegal third term, the Speaker of the House, Republican Mike Johnson, dismissed it and said there's no path to that, which is fact-check true. Legally, there is no path. And this is all back in the news. I want to discuss that as sort of my second topic in this breakdown. Again, just looking at some notes I wanted to share with you guys. The first thing politically that we have to keep in mind is what is true and what the goals are. So if somebody is trying to trick, or the word of the year now, troll you, and you care about truth and evidence, what's really going on politically? Before we even get to the obvious constitutional fact that you can't run for a third term. And I think first is Steve Bannon, someone that I've interviewed and reported on, and
if there's a war,
is a political communicator. That's something he prides himself on. And he continues to bring up the idea that Trump could be something other than a lame duck. And I say it that way because even before, again, the law, Bannon, who was the leader of the homestretch victorious 2016 campaign, who's been in and out of the White House, may be doing something that is more political than practical here. Meaning, whether or not you get to an attempt to hold power past 2028, which you have to take seriously given everything going on, and I'll get to that. First, you have to look at what is often called in political science the Overton window, which a lot of people know about, but it's basically the idea that if this is the realm of what is accepted, sort of traditional or conventional ideas in political debate, and boy has that changed lately, but if this is the idea that you want to go and shoot out of that, you want to be putting ideas over here to expand the window of what's acceptable. And any side could do that. I mean, as a communications tactic, it's actually neutral. That you could do that around this conservative idea that you want taxes not only low, you want taxes to go to zero. Well, no government runs on zero taxes, but just as an example, you could start pushing that idea and get that out there in people's heads, so that the negotiation you do offer sounds maybe more rational to some or less extreme than the zero, right? That's just the window. You could do a liberal example, whatever. Here we're talking about something very serious. We're talking about people who were caught trying to overthrow the 2020 election, who were in some cases criminally indicted and convicted. In other cases, we didn't get to trial. Donald Trump in our legal system was never tried on those matters because he actually won re-election when he ran again, as you know, in 24. So in all fairness, some of those were adjudicated, some weren't. But we're dealing with people from Trump on down who did try to overthrow the 2020 election. So when they talk about other plots to mess with the outcome of elections or break laws, we're not starting at neutral. We're starting from the inference of they've done this before.
Right.
Tried it, plotted. But before we get to that, of the
And I'm sure it was Bannon who told him he
Donald
didn't have to
Trump
leave.
constitutionally, legally, is a lame duck. Midterms are this year. Maybe he'll do well, and he'll be an empowered lame duck, but his time is still running out. And if you look all throughout history, lame duck, when you are headed towards the end of your power as a president, tends to be when you become less relevant. The Congress and others are serving in different terms. Senators are doing 6-year terms. A president who's approaching his last 3, 2, 1 year left is dealing with people who are very much looking past him. And so politically, there is clearly an effort to make Trump seem like he's going to last longer, expand his power. There's also efforts to do that by abusing power, and we can report on that. I cover that a lot. If you're watching, you probably know about that. But
I am currently on day 3, the last day of my juice cleanse that I got from Juice from.
If this is a communications tactic, even introducing the very idea that something illegal that can't happen in a democracy like ours is possible, plausible, that expands it. And then you could imagine if he wants some other thing, some other role past 2028, which I'll talk about in a minute, suddenly that sounds like, according to Bannon's pitch, a middle ground from going all the way out here to the idea that we would end democracy and our constitutional rule. So that's number one. You're normalizing other options if you allow that to happen. And so while we've seen this tactic before, you say something's a joke or you let an outside person float it, then you take it back. It's very unpopular if you tell Americans that you don't respect their vote and you want to end democracy, even for those who are very loyal to Trump on other issues. And so we've seen the limits of that. Trump keeps having people basically float this, then back off it. At one point it was a joke, at another point it's an outside advisor, but it keeps coming up. And so I think that's one part of it. And I mention this because Mr. Bannon sent this to me, and I presume, I don't know who else he sent it to, but he's talking to reporters. He most recently talked to The Economist about it. He's using different methods to put this out there, to normalize and launder these ideas. Trump obviously likes doing that. He puts the hats out when he's meeting with Democrats and other things in the Oval Office. And so that's a bit of the strategy part. The fact that they were caught trying to hold on to power and overthrow the 2020 election is the context for all of this. And I got to tell you,
and he got away with pardoning them people.
I find it really extraordinary sometimes how the country lived through this insurrection.
Right.
It became the biggest federal probe in our history. And all these people went to jail for crimes against the United States, sedition,
and they voted
violence
back
against
in.
police. And Trump, of course, let them all free on the first day in office, something that J.D. Vance and others said he should not do even after the election. Because that's how extreme it was. And I'm just sometimes noticing that maybe because it's negative, traumatic, or there's so many other things going on, people really seem to try to put that aside. People either because about it or they want to focus on other things. But that's the baseline for all of this, whether you're talking about the rule of law or this hat and where it fits in, or
I need an Obama for 2028 hat.
There was political violence on January 6th, famously. I actually wrote an essay about this. This is, of course, before the 24 election, that was called The Coup Conspiracy. And it was one of the versions of the January 6th report. And I always mention, you don't have to buy this. You can go download the January 6th report and read that part for free online. But I did chart in there something that has sadly remained relevant, which is how many people around Trump did try to overthrow the results of the election. And some of the plots they pursued that failed are more important now, perhaps, than they were then. Because he did lose, and we did transfer power on the 20th, and it seemed like a different moment. So you have to remember, he tried to get Sidney Powell to use the military to go after ballots. They just
tried to get his vice president to do some kooky stuff too.
They actually did try a kind of military-style coup, and that was abandoned. They tried to do fraudulent electors, which was seen as very far-fetched. The idea that you would go into Congress the day of the January 6th certification and just, wave around some paper and say, no, actually, the state we lost, we won, and that would somehow help members of Congress overthrow the election. Now, that failed. They even tried to give some of those papers to Mike Pence, who was not going to join that kind of coup. But I mention that all now, not just as history, but to say that when they're now talking about a third term, that might not be the way he holds on to power, but it could be one of several ideas or plots that is being tested and pursued. And by the time you get to an election, if they do hold on to Republican power, maybe that's good enough, quote unquote, for Trump. But if you imagine a scenario in 28 that looks more like 20, where the party has lost power and they are looking for a way to hold on, either directly through Trump staying in office as the outgoing president, or by claiming that the losing Republican nominee won, you can imagine several of these different plots. Now, in this report, I actually went through several of them, and several were public, and so they've been documented. Looking towards, there are already these sort of seemingly, I want to say, unlawful ideas to circumvent what is obviously the limit on the president serving 2 terms. It doesn't mean much if you say he can't serve 2 terms and then you call him, Mr. Extra President, and he's still in office, but you have some different titling. Obviously, if he's holding on to power and breaking the Constitution, he or any politician, then that's that. But one of these sort of out-of-the-box, probably unlawful ideas was, what if he ran as vice president and assumed the presidency? Or you could imagine in the same scenario, because Trump addressed it this week, so I'm just responding to the discourse that's out there. You can imagine a scenario where the president has a different name, and the vice president is the former president, but starts trying to basically carry out the duties of president. So it's just a little switcheroo. There are a lot of reasons why the military shouldn't take orders from someone other than the commander-in-chief, and the Supreme Court should back that up. But you can imagine those things. Now, Trump ruled that out. He said that was, quote, too cute. But again, when you're dealing with people who were caught trying to do this once,
it's
and they're
the
now
war.
Both publicly laundering these ideas and perhaps...
It's the war.
And there's a group, Third Term Project and others, that are looking at this, trying to figure out these ways.
It's going to be a war.
Take that seriously. Now, I mentioned all the plots that were discarded. When you look across world history and other semi-constitutional, semi-democratic systems, there are other ways that you could try to circumvent a constitutional limit, a term limit, or a limit on one ruler's power.
Get to it.
Without simply running them for a third term out in the open or running them for more positions. I'm a lawyer, and there are quite specific examples that would potentially be more enticing for the court, for the Supreme Court to approve than just saying you want a third term and you're blatantly breaking the law. Now, I'm not going to brainstorm or list those for some would-be autocrat right here.
Right.
There may be examples that people around law and constitutional history could think of. There may be some they can't. But in the same way that in reporting, we don't disseminate step-by-step instructions to make an illegal bomb. I'm not, as a lawyer who's again written about this and wrote the coup conspiracy essay and was interviewed a lot of players on both sides. I'm not going to actually give you all those steps or release them in public, but I don't think it's a spoiler or secret that there are other steps, and so we should all be quite vigilant, those of us who still care about the rule of law and democracy in a nonpartisan way, as this is all being brainstormed. The last point I want to walk through, again, this is in my report for you. If you're watching, maybe you're still interested, but here's the last point. How would this actually work if we get closer to them really pursuing 28? Well, the first thing that would happen is you would actually see a candidate like Trump, if they're really going to test whether they can do it, try to declare that he's running for office. We still have laws in this country about how the money is organized and how you get on the ballot. We have states, some run by Republicans, some run by Democrats. And so the first test point in the courts, if Trump literally pursued a third term, would be to declare he's running for one and try to get on the ballot. Legally, under the law, constitutionally, he'd be ineligible. That's what Speaker Johnson said, no path. That's what members of the Supreme Court have referred to in past cases, because there have been many cases on term limits where they're enforced, although no one has been as brazen as to try to just run for a third term since the Constitution got the 22nd Amendment limiting it. And so if he tried, you would quickly have a case on that, and the lower courts would rule against it, because there's clear precedent. The Constitution bars you from any third term as president. The Supreme Court could just leave that stand, and then he literally wouldn't be on the ballot. So it would be a big public loss, and kind of humiliating for trying to become a dictator and losing that way. Or the Supreme Court could take the case and affirm it. Or you can imagine, is there a world where this Supreme Court
He's going to start a
changes
war.
It's really a matter you can't predict. You can show that Justice Barrett, who was even appointed by Trump, recently said, well, the 22nd Amendment is the answer on that, which is bad news for him. That's a no. Justice John Roberts doesn't show any interest in breaking the Constitution like that we've seen. So if you're counting votes just based on that, it doesn't seem they would do that. And that's how this would be tested if Steve Bannon is being serious and not just trying to broaden the window, and if Donald Trump thinks that this is something he should actually pursue. So the first test of this would come then, and all evidence suggests that wouldn't get very far in the courts. The backup alternate, which Bannon and others are alluding to, is maybe there's some other way, whether Trump calls it cute or not, to try to see whether you can hold on to power, stay in office, somehow share power, etc. So I don't see it as our role as lawyers and journalists to publicly outline all of those steps. But I do think when you look at the 2020 plots, which range from valid lawsuits, which they have every right to take, didn't see any case that challenged Trump's loss, so they never took a Trump-Biden case in 20, to things they did that were questionable, like the alternate electors. In the beginning, you're allowed to line them up, but by Jan 6th, after you've gone through the process, you can't just commit elector fraud. That's why some of the lawyers got in trouble. To the military plot I mentioned, which failed, to having states meet to override the voters in their own state. That's something they tried and failed to do. You might remember Giuliani giving presentations, to what ultimately happened, which was the hijacking of the certification process. They actually delayed it. They actually committed crimes, you remember? Mm-hmm. They actually, according to the juries of the United States, committed sedition. If all of that went that far, again, not talking about only Trump, who was not convicted of those things in fairness, but others around him were in service of trying to overthrow his laws. If all that already happened, then yes, we should take very seriously ongoing public or semi-public discussions about how to keep Trump in power in 28, even if the president currently says he doesn't want to do it by running for a third term. So be vigilant about what we know about the past to protect the democracy in the future. Thanks for watching. You can always subscribe to my Ari Melber YouTube.
Okay, y'all, was 400 and some people in here. Y'all didn't hit the like button. Can y'all come on so we can finish this out? This double secret White House teardown.
I did hear something, and I was recount someone who was privy to the room in which, you know, this idea he's going to do this ballroom. So when they came to him, the building, the contracting team, the engineering team, they came, they had a meeting, and they said, you know, listen, it really would be much cheaper and faster just to tear down the East Wing. And he said this was given to me as a quote. He said, fuck. But can we do the demolition at night?
Wow.
So, you know,
the idea would be Washington would wake up and the East Wing would have evaporated. Michael.
Joanna.
You're looking like a crisp autumn leaf, if I may say so today.
Well, you know, the time has arrived.
The time has arrived. People can't see it. But
it's overcoat. My mother used to say, never bring out your overcoat until November 1st. But when I got up this morning at 5 a.m.
5 a.m. Well, people can't see that you've got a pair of, what brown is that? Rich chocolate brown corduroy pants on.
No. Tobacco.
Oh, tobacco. I'd forgotten about tobacco. Although, do you think smoking is making a comeback?
Utah Valley Hospital is where that file was, and that find the best option for you right now at Utah Valley Hospital. Okay, I just want to correct. Thank you guys in the chat for correcting me. I think I said UVU Medical. I meant to say Utah Valley Hospital. UVU is obviously on my mind because it is the university. It is Utah Valley Hospital is where that file was, and that person and some people that I confirmed with said that their two systems don't speak together. So, but there could be another logical explanation. Maybe someone called ahead and then they made a decision because of traffic to go somewhere else. But I would like to get to the bottom of that. Okay, let's jump in here to TPUSA's response to the Mikey McCoy. Actually, it wasn't really a response because, to be fair, they did their episode before my episode went out. Charlie Kirk's show is before my show is. But it was their response to the Mikey McCoy video going viral. So not a response to me, but rather a response to the people who had pulled this out, who had discovered this over the weekend. So like James Lee, Ian Carroll, Sam Parker. And here is what Andrew Colbert had to say. He's going to tell us that Mikey was told to do this in the event of this type of an emergency by, you guessed it, Charlie Kirk. Take a listen.
Here's the last thing I want to make a point of. And Charlie, because Charlie had given me similar instructions along the years. He said, if anything ever happens to me, you call Erica.
Yeah, that's the other
he
thing.
drilled that
She didn't
into
call
Mikey's
Erica.
brain so that when this moment of trauma happened, that he turned around and he knew he had to do it. And by the way, I just last thing, because this is part of the video allegations.
He didn't call
is
Erica.
that they think they're alleging that he was on the phone immediately. He was not. He was taking social videos, which he would send to our group chat, which we would then put on Charlie's social while the event was happening, so you could see like the crowd come in or his interactions. And we were only 2 questions into this event, so he was still getting it out to all the chats he needed to do, which he did at every event. He turns around, and it was so blaringly loud, I'm told. You would know this better than I, but this is what I'm told. It was so blaringly loud, and he was so shell-shocked, he put his fingers in his ear, but his phone was still in his hand. He walks away, and he's...
And not even walk. I want to, because people are talking about that. The way it was is we had a cordoned off area with grates, so you
That ain't what I saw.
Access. All the people, when this happens, they all get the idea we should leave before we are shot, and so there's a little narrow gap that I think people. It's not really walking; it's that everyone has to slow up to get through this little narrow choke point to get out of the area.
Okay, elsewhere they say that, so basically he was on the phone, he was holding his ears, okay? And then once he got out into the distance beyond the car that Charlie would be carried into is when he called Erica first and then his father.
That ain't
That's
what he
they tell
said.
us. Now, in regards to him saying that Mikey was taking social videos, I can tell you, it tracks that Mikey would be taking videos behind, like we know when Charlie first comes out of the event, he's throwing hats. That tracks. That absolutely is a thing at Turning Point USA. You follow the person to get behind the scenes. I would have Savannah do this before Mikey McCoy did this. It was Sarah Schmachtenberger. And they do that. They like the behind the scenes reactions. But in this particular video, he's not standing where you can get a view of Charlie asking a question. So this part is not tracking. Okay, Mikey is not standing to the side of Charlie. He is behind. And so if you're saying what earlier, we're supposed to see him, the best place to stand if you're going to get a video of Charlie asking a question is going to be in a place where you can see both Charlie and the person asking the question. And that's just not where he's standing. So that excuse doesn't make sense to me. Now, maybe he's saying Mikey was there when he was throwing hats out, and he was there trying to send videos thereafter once things got started. That's all possible. I don't know. Regarding him putting his hands up to his ear, it does sound completely plausible to me that if you first hear a gunshot, you're going to naturally do this, right? That kind of makes sense. You're going to go, what was that maybe? And then I think typically you'd get down. And the issue that I have is he just, I never see him take that phone.
Hold on. She's showing it again. Y'all, come on. Y'all gonna... Okay, I'm not going to say it anymore. Double tap the face of the screen. Every time I pause and get back going, y'all stop hitting the double tap. Y'all stop getting the likes up. I need 20 likes. She is showing it again. Come on, y'all, so we can watch it.
And they do that. They like the behind the scenes reactions. But in this particular video, he's not standing where you can get a view of Charlie asking a question. So this part is not tracking. Okay, Mikey is not standing to the side of Charlie. He is behind. And so if you're saying what earlier, we're supposed to see him, the best place to stand if you're going to get a video of Charlie asking a question is going to be in a place where you can see both Charlie and the person asking the question. And that's just not where he's standing. So that excuse doesn't make sense to me. Now, maybe he's saying Mikey was there when he was throwing hats out, and he was there trying to send, just not where he's standing. So that excuse doesn't make sense to me. Now, maybe he's saying Mikey was there when he was throwing hats out, and he was there trying to send videos thereafter once things got started. That's all possible. I don't know. Regarding him putting his hands up to his ear, it does sound completely plausible to me that if you first hear a gunshot, you're going to naturally do this, right? That kind of makes sense. You're going to go, what was that maybe? And then I think typically you'd get down. And the issue that I have is I never see him take that phone down.
Nope.
Maybe he does, right? Maybe he does. We don't know for a fact.
And
so
his
we should be clear
his hand over his ear.
Look to me
No.
like he's just covering his ears there. But maybe he is. What I will say is that it would be unlikely that you would keep holding your ears until you get all the way out, and that you wouldn't duck down. And regarding, Charlie always told us to call Erica if anything happens. Yeah, that's kind of common sense. That's not exactly like, hey, if I get shot in the throat.
But that's not what he said. That's not what his daddy said. He called him first. He called him and said, "Oh, they just shot Charlie. Oh, please, pray. Because I said he called the police. He didn't call. No. And that other guy up there, he up there, his supposed to be friend, is doing a selfie live or video. We can see them walking up to the black SUV that never pulled off. So no, I'm not buying any of that.
Don't help me and call Erica. I think obviously that's called like first of kin, right? First of kin. If something happens to me, call George. Something happens to George, call Candace. That is almost in the sphere of common sense. So I believe that. I don't believe that Charlie said, if I get shot, don't help me, calmly walk away.
Yeah, no.
And call Erica first. Like, I think, I don't know. Like I said,
don't help me though.
I think it's curious that we're hearing this
don't
from
help
Andrew
me.
and we're not hearing it from Mikey McCoy. It's very easy to dispel any internet innuendo. You don't actually have to jump into ad hominem attacks. The first thing I would have done, just like I did when I was being accused of colluding on the Blake Lively story, when I got drafted into that lawsuit and they thought that I was working with Blake Lively's, working with Justin Baldoni's team, is I quite literally live subpoenaed myself. Held to my phone, I typed in Blake Lively, and I showed you the only 2 times that I had ever texted about her in my phone at all, to demonstrate that there was no collusion happening and no one compelled me to speak. It was a ridiculous thing for her to say. I laughed at it. I wasn't upset about it, right? And I said, this is crazy. Here is my phone. I'm live opening it for you. Why not do that? Doesn't that seem easier? The easier thing, if you feel that pressure, is to just say, I'm going to dispel this. It's kind of like the Brigitte Macron thing. Hey, here's a couple of pictures of me raising my kids. 30 years was missing because I really was just camera shy. I'm just going to show you the pictures. It's so much easier, rather than fighting a tit-for-tat war, to just share the truth. People are uncomfortable. It's going to get even more interesting, though, because Alex Marlowe, who runs Breitbart News, was their guest for the day on the show. And he then kind of shifts gears and pretends like we're all drug addicts. Right? We're just high on conspiracy theory. Take a listen.
There's a suggestion online that Mikey, Charlie's chief of staff, one of the most sincere people you'd ever meet, brilliant, Christian, kind, everyone he ever met in his entire life, couldn't hurt a fly, was part of a conspiracy to murder Charlie. That's what's going on.
Yeah. It's vile. It's utterly vile.
Who would do this? What type of individual? Just to create content, do we think? Or is there what's the ulterior?
I don't know. I think a lot of this mindset just sort of fuels itself. It's sort of addictive in the same way a lot of social media stuff is addictive, or in the way like
You're right, Keisha.
Honestly,
Clear
something
set
like
up.
pornography is addictive or something. Like they get really, they almost get they get a high off of like the idea of like that they're doing something that's daring or out there.
No, I don't think that's the case at all. I think she trying to get to what happened to her friend and why was y'all moving that way. Hi, Frank.
So that right there is a psychological operation.
That's
And because we're
manipulation.
reading about Sigmund Freud, they diagnose you. When they don't want you to look into something, they diagnose you. So right there, he's going, oh my, are they just doing this to create content? Are these people akin to drug addicts? They're just high on the conspiracy theory. They're gaslighting you, and then they're diagnosing you. So we all just watched Charlie die. We are having a perfectly rational response to watching that, and then watching the strange reaction of his peers, or the non-reaction of his peers who just want our money, right? And are asking for Susie Wiles. It's the craziest part of his whole thing for me. It was like, why is Susie Wiles? I don't know, it just feels really weird, like a weird pick for her to eulogize him. But yeah, and not maybe his parents, maybe they didn't want to. Actually, they were quite private people. But all this happens, and we're having a natural reaction, which is we feel alarmed, we feel suspicious, and they're going, oh, you're a drug addict. You know what? I get it. You kind of like porn. You're into that. You're into the porn thing. So I get it. No, I get it. If you want to watch porn all day, you want to watch porn all day. That, my friends, is a psychological operation. Steel yourselves against this. Yes, we are asking questions. No, we are not akin to people that watch pornography all day. And no, we're not getting high on it. We're going to get high when we find out what actually happened. That's going to feel like a high to us, right? That's going to be that natural rush that we feel when we've actually solved what happened to Charlie Kirk. So let me answer you back on that, Alex Marlowe. Be careful, because I might do your genealogy. You don't want me doing that. Careful. Then we have Frank Turek, who engages in this same sort of act of psychological manipulation, in my viewpoint, and he defends Mikey McCoy. I think this is on his own show. Here's what he had to say.
There's a difference between a possibility and evidence for a possibility. You can speculate on anything you want, but unless you have evidence, shut up. Okay? Because all you're doing is causing dissension among the brothers, which is something the Lord hates. If you want to present a possibility and say, well, this could be true, okay, it could be true, but don't accuse people for doing something for which you have no evidence. I heard today, I guess I hadn't seen it myself, but I heard today she was judging people who didn't act the right way. I don't know if anyone did. Has anyone seen this video? She did. She, according to Candace Owens, these people did not act the right way after Charlie's death. Like my friend Mikey McCoy, the brilliant 24-year-old who at the time when Charlie was shot was 23 and was a hero that day. He apparently didn't act the right way according to Candace Owens. He didn't act normal. Newsflash, there is no normal when you're in shock. There is no normal when an abnormal thing happens. Some people are going to act one way, other people are going to act another way. You don't know how you would react.
I'm going to try to render my best friend aid.
The only reason that I did what I did is because I thought about it beforehand. I was afraid somebody would take a shot at Charlie, and I thought to myself, if it does happen, what am I going to do? Decide now.
Well, that's what Charlie did.
What I wanted to do was do anything I could to save him.
Couple of psychological manipulations happening there. First is like the academic one, where he's trying to present himself as an authority on the topic and saying to you, like, there is no, everybody can do anything when shots are fired. We don't know when you're shocked by shots being fired. Some people just, start doing the hokey pokey. Look, some people literally, they hear shots fired, they get on a table and they start dancing and shoot me. Like George Zinn, hey, we don't know. He was in shock. George Zinn, I did it. That's a normal, hey, we don't know, right? Like, we do actually know that we all have a baseline response to danger. You run towards it because you want to rescue people. These are the heroes in the story, or you run away from it. Right? That's a baseline. Or you freeze. You literally just are paralyzed by fear, kind of. Maybe I'd say 3 baseline things that you can expect, right? I don't know what to do. I'm running away from this. or I know exactly what to do and I need to rescue other people. So don't do that. The other thing he's doing, of course, is the biblical manipulation, which seems to me to be that there has been a military infiltration into the churches. I think we've covered that enough this year. I've termed that Operation Mocking Pastor, where they just try to find some scripture and justify it. And he's a pastor, he's earned trust. So he's saying she's judging people. The Lord says this. The Lord says she shouldn't look into the trial. The Lord says she shouldn't ask questions. The Lord thinks that people should just shut up, right? That to me is like the sickest form of manipulation. The sickest form of manipulation is to try to present it via the lens of what God would want. You don't have to do that. Just say what you think, say what you mean, and try to manipulate people the old school way, okay? Now, speaking of psychological operations, the one safe place is my book club, okay? I'm like, we're real like, you know, we're ratchet in the book club. I say whatever, because I know people that are in there, they're ready for it. I'm throwing to them. We're talking about Frankism. We're talking about the Kabbalah. We're talking about the infiltration into the churches, intentional as an aspect of the Frankist movement. And we go pretty quickly. We're reading these books. We're learning about Sigmund Freud, right? It starts with Sigmund Freud. It ends with Operation Mocking Pastor.
I didn't like when that guy was up there and he said, oh, who says, or who plans? Isn't that just what the guy before that on that panel said that Charlie did? He said he planned it. He said, oh, he told me that same thing, that if something ever happened to him to do this. I mean, that's the same thing, right? So he knew exactly what to do because Charlie had told him. Because he had planned ahead. But he flipped it on her. It's like, who plans ahead? I mean, how do you know? That means it would be premeditated. I mean, but that's what old boy said Charlie did. So which one is it? Yeah, no. That's manipulation. Mental manipulation. Gaslight, moving it. So it's okay what he said, because he's still turning point. But whatever she says, it's like, oh no, she's crazy, she's lunatic, she don't know. I mean, she is just no one X. No, I don't know nobody. I've seen people who render aid to people that they don't even know. All race, all bullshit goes out the window when an emergency or something tragic happens. Who you like, who you don't, what color they are, none of that matters. You go and you run and you render aid. He got all these turning point people that's supposed to love him, one on the side watching him being transported to a black car, taking pictures of his set, announced him as dead. And then another one that's supposed to be such brilliant young man, he said his daddy said he called him immediately. So he had his daddy on speed dial. He dialed 911 nothing. It's bullcrap. And with friends like that who needs enemies, that's all I'm going to say. They set him up. That was a part of it. And oh boy, McCoy, I don't know if his daddy was involved or not, but that's who he called. And he was on the phone and he said, mission completed. Bottom line. And all that other ripper bull crap trying to turn everybody in a different direction. Oh, and she black? I mean, ain't nobody, come on. They really want to say that. But that was Charlie's friend, and she was already there. She started turning, she was here longer than majority of us. She was a part of the beginning. Yeah. So you can't dismiss her. But you want to, though. Because she was really y'all only token. Because we know y'all really don't like. But because she had such ill things to say about black people, she was accepted. But she was never supposed to turn on y'all. I mean, she was never supposed to meet somebody who would steer her to the light, to the truth. But as long as we can lie and manipulate and paint this picture, yeah, this counterfeit picture, don't let nobody throw any water on it, because it'll start melting and the real picture behind the picture will show. She was never supposed to see the light. And Lord in heaven knows Charlie wasn't. Because the minute he began to see the light, he had to go. No, I like Candace. I think Candace is very intelligent. I think that I respect the fact that she owns that she was in a cult, that she believed the hype and she was manipulated. I respect that. It's a lot of people are in cults. Yeah, so I appreciate anybody who can take ownership and acknowledge, yes, I was deeply involved in it. I believed it until I saw the light. Now I'm against the darkness. And I can expose it. You know how I can expose it? Because I was a part of it. Yeah, I like Candace. As long as she's talking sense and making sense to me, yeah, all that other bull crap she used to do, oh, no, I wouldn't even entertain her. But anybody who can take ownership, yeah. Now, is she perfect? No. But who is? And Illis, I ain't gonna lie to you. You like some people on YouTube that are super doopy dingy dong. And hell, you send them cash apps and super chats and super stickers. And they are super doopy duper ding dong. But I'm gonna leave that for another day. Oh, you perfect. You can't trust nobody. Who can? Again, like I'ma say, you like people on YouTube that are super duper dingy dong. You support them and you trust them, and they are very deceitful. But you like them. You really do like them. So sometimes I look at you like, really, Illis? Really? Yeah, I ain't talking about, I'm talking about some people that you really entertain though. But this girl has taken, and those people never take ownership. Never. Never take ownership. I can respect the fact that she said, I do not know. Please don't go, on a huge conspiracy. I'm just looking for answers. I mean, yeah, I like her approach. I like her approach. She would come in and debunk some things. She would say, okay, I got it wrong. I made a mistake here. A lot of people won't ever do that. They don't ever. And I appreciate because she was involved with that stuff. Absolutely involved. And she could still be brainwashed and believe that Trump and them and Israel and the CIA and everybody else that's involved was involved. She could still be that naive. She could be going along with Tyler Robinson really is the shooter. And she said, no, he's not the shooter. And he's not the shooter. We know he's not the shooter. But they want people to go along with that. I respect. Now, if she'd have been saying stuff like that, I'd been like, oh, no, ma'am. We know that, but she's not going along with that. She is helping them. This lady right here has helped shooters. I mean, people who say that they are hunters. Go deeper into the research past what they were saying to say, okay, well, okay. You know, I don't like her, but yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, okay. So it ain't about if I like her. It's what she's saying the truth. Because they want us to believe this. But we know that ain't it. She done found out a whole bunch of stuff that would not have came out. They want her to shut up. I want her to keep going. So shout out to Candace. You know, again, I'm going to say this, and I mean this with everything in me. We all need a friend like Candace who will not stop, will not accept, release the Epstein files. I'm with, because all of this still is wrapped around Israel and the Epstein files. Because he challenged them both. President Trump on the Epstein files and Israel being fake. What's his name? Not gonna sue me. Netanyahu. Yeah. The reason he was unalive was those two things. Pro Israel is fake, and they're Epstein files. That put the X on his back. Absolutely. And pro-Israel. Yeah, when he realized that all of that was fake and that they had a whole nother plan going on, and he tried to get Trump not to defend Israel, yeah, it got ugly. On top of that, Jared declared master plan. Absolutely. And he was about to change his religion. Yeah, because he said he was a Christian, but he was a Christian Zionist, and that means you're not a Christian. That's where he tapped into AunTeaFee. I didn't know he was calling himself a Christian. What he was trying to allude to was being a Christian Zionist, baby. Oh, no, you said you was a Christian. Trump became Jewish in 2017. I just read that he 2017. Because he was saying that when did he run? They said that he went from Presbyterian to non-denomination. That's what I read. His daughter gave up and went over, unless he wait, what? Pence did what? Oh man, why? I ain't gonna be able to find that now. But I think Trump is playing all over the place. Wherever he feel like it's more money to say he is, that's what he gonna say he is. But he did say he was not a Christian. But I just read somewhere he said that they classified him as non-denomination. So if you Google, is Trump a Christian? Google it. If you Google right now, is Trump a Christian? It says yes. Donald Trump identifies as Christian and has publicly stated he is a non-denominational Christian. I'm finna end on this note because I don't. What it say? What it say? Is Trump a Christian? Who was sent? Who was a quest? The quest, you see this? Oh, I'm trying to take this down. You see it, quest? Says he identifies as a Christian and has publicly stated he is non-denominational Christian. However, his Christian beliefs and practices have been subject to public discussion. Absolutely. But what he say he is. Now, what he is between him and God. Oh, ill is what you mean, too many religions. I mean, I'm just saying, when somebody say what they are, and, you know, I think Trump plays with everybody. It's about money for him. So he gon' what I need to say, you know. But I do know that he kind of made a comment about his daughter joining nothing but money. Yeah, that's his religion, money. This continues with Candace. What you mean, this continues with Candace? I'm finna go to sleep. Y'all ain't got my lights up. Y'all better come on.
Or that's where we are at right now. And I have so much fun. And what happened was Zionists actually purchased the book club, passed the book club, and they says this. The Lord says she shouldn't look into the trial. The Lord says she shouldn't ask questions. The Lord thinks that people should just shut up, right? That to me is like the sickest form of manipulation. The sickest form of manipulation is to try to present it via the lens of what God would want. You don't have to do that. Just say what you think, say what you mean, and try to manipulate people the old school way, okay? Now, speaking of psychological operations, the one safe place is my book club, okay? I'm like, we're real, like, you know, we're ratchet in the book club. I say whatever, because I know people that are in there, they're ready for it. I'm throwing to them. We're talking about Frankism. We're talking about the Kabbalah. We're talking about the infiltration.
I'm talking about the other people who didn't.
Intentional as an aspect of the Frankist movement. And we go pretty quickly. We're reading these books. We're learning about Sigmund Freud, right? It starts with Sigmund Freud. It ends with Operation Mocking Pastor, or that's where we are at right now. And I have so much fun. And what happened was Zionists actually purchased the book club, passed the book club, and they then started sharing clips and watermarked it as if it was their own content to make money off of. This guy.
Oh, they bought her book club.
I was like, you're getting hit with a copyright strike, my friend, okay? Proud of myself. Hit him with a copyright strike. Because he literally put Milk Bark TV content on the corner. He watermarked my content to then smear me, right? If you're going to watermark my content, at least don't smear me and call me a crazy person. And what they were upset with was that I said that it was ridiculous. And I meant it, by the way. So shocking. I say what I mean. That we're supposed to think that Charlie is being honored because he got a Charlie Kirk Day in October. I will feel Charlie is honored, okay, when we figure out who killed him, because I'm not buying the lone shooter thing. So I said, miss me with the whole holiday theater. Tell me who actually killed him. And it's a typical federal maneuver, by the way, to kill someone like Martin Luther King or JFK, and then they get a holiday, they get a boulevard. That's what I said. And I would have said it off the book club, but they clipped it, tried to take it out of context. But it's not 2018, and I am not new to what you guys do. These out of context clips are just not hitting the same. The people are awake. They know what's happening here.
Facts.
They see what you're doing.
We had a
We are
student
definitely
sign up for the
awake.
course, and
Okay,
he's
y'all,
actually
can I go to
now
sleep
coming in
now?
regularly for our labs. He's really trying to.
Can I go to
I
sleep
cried,
now?
by the way, when he got hit with a copyright strike. I couldn't believe it. Talk about literally crying while you strike someone else. Like, you stole my content. You got caught stealing my content and trying to make money off of it. And then he tweets,
Specs said no.
Hit my account. This is Nathan Livingstone. I tried to steal and she didn't let me. Why is she trying to silence me? Why won't she let me steal? You can pay for a pass, you can watch it, but you can't steal my content. Anyways, guys, it's amazing. Like, I think it's actually amazing that our book club got infiltrated. We're going to have to be more careful in there. Just kidding. I won't be. I will be just as ratchet as I always am in the book club. Lastly, we got to get to Brigitte Macron because I think everybody now is really tired.
Yeah, I almost did a live about it.
Not my fault, okay? If you have not, by the way, watched the Becoming Brigitte series and you are
I
appreciating what
almost-
I'm doing with the Charlie Kirk series,
her
go
court
back and watch
started.
it. Same thing. All I did was tell the truth, and people were upset, and then the series went viral.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
by people,
almost
I mean
went
the
into
media
it
was upset.
today.
The series went viral. There's no way you can watch the series and come out of it thinking that Brigitte was born a female. You can't just disappear 30 years of your life. You can't just say, I didn't take a picture for 30 years. It doesn't work like that. Okay, such an easy, lowest baby bar ever to set to dispel the rumors. Hey, can we get some pictures from your wedding day? Like, you know, you with your family, and not just pictures that have been given to us from a woman who quite literally is facing charges for falsifying pictures. Like, we've got like 4 photos of the whole life. And yeah, I'm being sued because that's the next logical step. You sue people for telling the truth to scare them. And it's all related, by the way. We're talking about who Brigitte actually is, the families that Brigitte is related to, the fact that Emmanuel Macron is, in fact, just like the state of Israel, a Rothschild's creation, talking about the military-industrial complex, and talking about the Kabbalah. Kabbalah very much is the reason for
she's
this
a
push in
Rothschild
culture for transgenderism. We'll get more into that in the book club, which gets a bit more theological.
Oh, now that
But
makes
that's
it
very important.
interesting.
Key bar ever to set to dispel the rumors. Hey, can we get some pictures from your wedding day? Like, you know, you with your family.
Rothschild creation.
And not just pictures that have been given to us from a woman who quite literally is facing charges for falsifying pictures. Like, we've got like 4 photos of the whole life. And yeah, I'm being sued because that's the next logical step. You sue people for telling the truth to scare them. And it's all related, by the way. We're talking about who Brigitte actually is, the families that Brigitte is related to, the fact that Emmanuel Macron is, in fact, just like the state of Israel, a Rothschild's creation, talking about the military-industrial complex, and talking about the Kabbalah. Kabbalah very much is the reason for this push in culture for transgenderism. We'll get more into that in the book club, which gets a bit more theological. But that's a very important series, and basically what happened this week is people who hadn't even watched the series were like, okay, I've seen enough. Brigitte Macron crying because she doesn't know. Brigitte doesn't know why, but on the tax forms, the French tax forms, Brigitte is listed as Jean-Michel and listed as a male. So they're trying to lie and tell the public that they think this was done by a team of hackers. Okay? Hackers who they haven't arrested. Okay, what hacker? This happened years ago, right? It was actually someone who worked for her who said, oh, this is weird. Like, I'm in your account right now, and you're registered as a dude named Jean-Michel. Mr. Bremet was the guy who did this, a government official. He made the revelation, and he recounted how Brigitte was stunned to learn that her legal name had been, quote-unquote, changed when she logged into her personal tax account. We were completely surprised, said Mr. Bremet. Oh, okay, so we're supposed to believe the government, which Brigitte is controlling, by the way, this person, Bremet, has worked with the couple since 2017. And we're supposed to believe that a hacker was going to risk.
She sparked my attention when she said Rothschild creation.
Okay, the government, had to be the government, decided to hack the government and to only change the name. Like, if you're going to risk that kind of an offense, that sort of a criminal offense, at least take the money. At least say, and they wiped out $2 million. It was a crazy hack, a little joke at the end of it. But no, just wanted to hack and risk criminal charges to change your name to Jean-Michel way back when this wasn't even a viral story. I mean, completely ridiculous, okay? You were born
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get
Jean-Michel
into it now.
You transitioned, and you've been put in this position of power, and I don't know why they would do this. You got away with offending Emmanuel when he was 14 years old, sexual offense, and you went after, I mean, he was a child, in my view, in everyone's view, a 14-year-old kid, you got like a 40-year-old adult that goes after him, and now you're pretending you're the victim, okay? A little bit crazy. We're getting tired of it. You can't just keep pretending everything is just happening to you. just present some pictures. Stop pretending that you're offering genetic evidence in the court hearing against me. You're not even suing me for the claim that I said you were born a male. You're suing me for the claim that I said you stole your sister's identity to transition. That's what you're suing me over, amongst very many other things that are ridiculous. And you've never offered genetic evidence because you didn't even get to that stage of the hearing. We have not gotten to any stage, actually. It's like the back forth tit for tat, changing the filings, all very preliminary. You're just doing the most in terms of PR, trying to convince the world against something that we recognize, which is that you were born a male. So Emmanuel Macron, come clean. Everybody, and I mean everybody worldwide, is exhausted with your wife's penis. Let's take a quick break and get some of your comments.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to.
All right, jumping in here to tell you guys about Comet AI, because how much time do we?
Oh my God, that was funny. Retired. I mean, everyone. I mean, absolutely everyone is tired of your husband's penis. Y'all, good night. Good night. Don't let the bad bugs bite. Good night. What do my lights look like? I am going to spank y'all with Trump's dirty diaper. If my if oh, that was gross. That was gross. Oh my God, AunTeaFee, let me hit the like button. Oh my God, with Trump's dirty diaper, for real? Woo, Spec said good night on that one, AunTeaFee. Don't be spanking me with no Trump diaper. It's royalty. It's the king's diaper. Good night, good people. Oh my goodness.